Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am here to inform you all that LA is on fire once again, and the LGBTQ community is imploding one bisexual woman at a time. Happy Thursday. So guys, before we get into all of my celebrity and pop culture drama and updates for you, and we have things about Bunny Blue and Blake Lively and all of these bisexuals, which you will hear about soon, we do need to talk about the elephant in the room, the fiery elephant, and that, of course, is the riots happening in LA. So I just have to say, there is something about June in California. It just does something to the unemployed liberals who live in Los Angeles because once again, very similar to what happened in 2020, the entire city has gone up in flames because people are angry about a social political issue, and this one, of course, would be immigration. So this all started last week when ICE raids were happening in Los Angeles. These raids turned into protests and riots that Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom have yet to figure out how to control, probably because Gavin Newsom and his comms team is working overtime to correct everyone critiquing him online. He is spending more time on X than he is on his own state. But before we dive into that story and I read you all those tweets, make sure that you follow our podcast page and rate the show if you are enjoying it. And if you have not bought tickets for the remaining dates of my tour, I'm going to Texas next week. Make sure to check out brettcooper.com. All the information is there. We have my remaining 5 shows, I think, and I hope that I get to meet you guys. So guys, all I can say is poor Gavin Newsom, his little fingers must be so tired because all he has been doing over the past week is tweet. And I don't know, maybe this is controversial, but maybe instead of quote tweeting people like a high school girl writing her burn book, maybe he should actually focus on trying to fix what is going on in his state. Crazy idea. Can't believe I'm saying that. That's probably way too much common sense for the political climate of 2025. But guys, I'm gonna have my editor play some B-roll of everything that is going on in Los Angeles right now as I read you these tweets from Gavin Newsom, so you can see what's happening and what he is ignoring and what he is posting online. So this first one, Rep. Jim Jordan posted, we fly the American flag in America, and that's because with all of these protests, people are out there flying the Mexican flag. I don't understand why they're saying, don't make us leave America, and yet they're saying the Mexico is so amazing and they're waving the Mexico flag. Does not make sense to me, but none of this makes sense. And without missing a beat, Gavin Newsom replied and said, like this, and of course, posted photos from January 6th. And it always goes back to January 6th, doesn't it? Because that is the scapegoat to end all scapegoats. JD Vance also tweeted and said, do your job. That is all we are asking. And Gavin Newsom promptly replied and said, do your job. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. Rescind the order, return control to California. And this tweet in particular is so ironic to me because he's saying, do your job. And then he immediately follows it up with saying, we didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. What do you want him to do then? His job is to step in when you are being incompetent, when you are spending hours online at 12 a.m. tweeting about the situation instead of fixing it. JD Vance and Donald Trump, their job is to step in. So they are actually doing what they are supposed to. The only reason they have stepped in is because you haven't been doing your job. So stop coping online and actually do something about it. But I don't think that is something that Gavin Newsom is capable of doing. And I'm saying that as somebody who lived underneath him in California and saw everything that happened during COVID in 2020. And so he posted yet again. He has not stopped for days at this point. And he said, I was just informed that Trump is deploying another 2,000 guard troops to LA. The first 2,000 given no food or water. Only approximately 300 are deployed. The rest are sitting unused in federal buildings without orders. This isn't about public safety. It's about stroking a dangerous president's ego. This is reckless, pointless, and disrespectful to our troops. No, I think when downtown Los Angeles is literally burning and protesters are calling the driverless Waymo cars to the protest to simply set them on fire when they are attacking police officers, I think then it becomes about public safety. None of this is about stroking an ego. You are trying to stroke your own ego. That is your entire MO, you and your slicked back weird hair. This is not about Trump and his personality. This is trying to protect the city that you are failing to control. And it's so hilarious that Gavin Newsom could be so holier than thou about calling in the National Guard saying, why would you do this to them? Why would you call them in for something that is so trivial and ridiculous? When I was living in Los Angeles, he called in the National Guard to run all the vaccination and the COVID testing sites. I mean, talk about something that was absurd. Los Angeles was burning from the race riots, San Francisco was burning, all of these cities were burning, and what the National Guard was focusing on was getting people vaccinated. Talk about something that is disrespectful and ridiculous, Gavin. Come on. Anyway, moving on from that, this probably was my favorite of all of his tweets. Again, guys, all of this is going on as everything is on fire, as cops are being attacked. I mean, it's certifiably insane is what I'm trying to get across here. But anyway, back to the point. One of the other people who was rightfully critiquing Gavin Newsom was an Alabama senator named Tommy Tuberville. That is, don't mind me, that is literally how he speaks, and I love it. But anyway, he called out Newsom for his incompetence, and he said lock him up because he's running his state into the ground. And Gavin Newsom haughtily responded and said, Alabama has 3 times the homicide rate of California. Its murder rate is ranked 3rd in the entire country. Stick to football, bro. I mean, literally, guys, this is high school girl tweeting. You are now going back and forth when you should be working on your city. And bro, maybe you should get your stats right, because according to violent crime stats, your state is still higher than Alabama. When you look at the entire picture, you are 6th in terms of violent crime. And Alabama, even though its homicide rate might be higher than yours, is 44th in the country. So I don't think you have any legs to stand on. Let's just pipe down a little bit, because this is truly absurd. And on top of that, imagine how much higher your stats would be if you actually had DAs that prosecuted crimes and a well-funded police force who would actually arrest criminals. Because, shocker, that doesn't usually happen in states like California. Crazy idea. Somebody responded and said, this is because Alabama actually tracks and reports crimes and California does not. There we go. Only 2% of law enforcement agencies in California reported crime stats in 2020 and 2021. Even where California cities do track crime, it is historically inaccurate. That is crazy. Mic drop moment. Sorry, Gavin Newsom, there is no coming back from any of this. I don't care how many tweets you send out, you cannot fix the situation. And it just feels like 2020 all over again. I mean, the videos, the incompetence, how out of control it is, we are watching history repeat itself. And one thing that I think everybody should know, because we're watching these videos, we see how insane it is. I think you're probably imagining the entirety of Los Angeles burning. But what you should know is that even though these riots are huge and they are destroying downtown Los Angeles, this is not impacting the entire city. The well-intentioned elite liberals who live in Malibu and Calabasas and Brentwood, or even in the valley where I used to live, they are not seeing this. They are not being impacted. Their cars are not getting burned. They are not having trouble getting to work. It is the people who live in downtown LA, who live in areas like Compton. It's the cops who are just trying to protect their city and do their job, who are getting attacked, whose cars are literally getting destroyed. Those are the people who are being impacted. So it's much easier for these elite liberals to sit on their phones and post their ridiculous infographics and go on the news and say, it's mostly peaceful. This is so wonderful. They're just trying to protect their families. This is about racism. We're fighting racism. No, it's not. Starting fires, looting businesses, hurting innocent people, and waving another country's flag because you don't want to leave this country is not about protecting your family. That is nonsense. It is about dominance and intimidation. That is all we're seeing here. And the Trump admin, to their credit, is not backing down. Because you should not back down to something like this. This is not something that you should just roll over for. And yet Karen Bass is doing it, Gavin Newsom is doing it because they are too afraid. They don't want to be called racist. They don't want to be called bigots. They just want to say, oh, no, it's fine. It's mostly peaceful. They're fighting for their rights. BS. No, they are not. All of these riots are a waste of time. They are completely unproductive. They are ridiculous. They need to be shut down. I mean, instead of looting and rioting and completely destroying downtown LA, I think their time would be better spent enrolling in Peterson Academy classes, because that would actually help our society. Now, Peterson Academy is Jordan Peterson's online university that is open for enrollment right now. So if you are somebody who loves lifelong learning, wants to go back to school, maybe you're a homeschool student that wants to up your summer semester, or if you're somebody who has just ever benefited from Dr. Peterson's lectures and his podcast, then this platform is for you. Every month, Peterson Academy releases 4 new, in-depth, 8-hour university-level courses taught by world-renowned experts and produced to keep you fully engaged. These are not traditional courses at all. They cover an amazing range of topics from philosophy, history, psychology, science, statistics, anything you can dream of, complete with optional testing to further your understanding of every subject. Plus, they are continually rolling out new educational features as they grow. There is also a built-in social community where you can connect and learn alongside like-minded people from around the world. It truly is an amazing platform. They have done an incredible job building it. So if you are ready to challenge your intellect and expand your horizons and take control of your education, it is time to go to petersonacademy.com/Brett. It is $399 per year to access all of the 8-hour courses with 4 new courses a month, plus the social community with a 7-day money-back guarantee, but I doubt you will need it. Guys, that is an amazing deal for that price. You don't have to take out student loans to go back to school. Again, that's petersonacademy.com/Brett. patreon.com/Brett. Now, to wrap up this Gavin Newsom story, because there are a few people that I love dunking on more than Gavin Newsom, I have one last tweet to show you guys. So the context of this is that somebody posted a video of some riots that were going on, and they were saying, look what is happening to California and Los Angeles. And Gavin responded, rightfully so, and said this video is from 2020. And that video was from 2020, so he called that out. That was incorrect. However, the comment section was incredible. Somebody responded and said, Gavin Newsom wants to be clear that this video is not from 2025 when he let Los Angeles burn, but it is from 2020 when he let Los Angeles burn. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, get effed, Gavin. You are not able to control your state or Los Angeles in 2020. You are not able to control it now. Pipe down. We don't want to hear from you. Your fingers are doing nothing to rectify this situation. Now, speaking of getting effed, we need to talk about Bonnie Blue, because guys, she is back at it again. So if you don't know who Bonnie Blue is, good for you. And guys, I almost didn't include this story in the episode because I'm very conflicted on the subject, because the only reason people know about Bonnie Blue is because people on the right dunk on her and talk about how she is like a toxic person in society, a leech on society, which they're completely right. But we certainly do amplify her and put her in the public domain. But I haven't spoken about her yet. And this story is just so insane that we just need to spend like a couple minutes going over it. So just allow me to join the conversation, at least for just this one segment. So Bonnie Blue is the woman who I think slept with 1,000 guys. She does all of these sexual stunts. She is a porn star. She's gross. She's 25 years old. She looks like she's 45, probably because she's been run through so many times. Anyway, that is who Bonnie Blue is. And in her latest stunt of many, she announced that she was going to be hosting a petting zoo on Father's Day. And this petting zoo is where she was going to be tied up in a glass box, and men could come in, and women if they wanted to, and do anything they wanted to her. And at the end of the day, her goal was to sleep with 2,000 men and break her record. And guys, she announced this through a video that she posted on her socials. It was on X, it was on Instagram. I was going to play you the video. I'm not even gonna go that far. I don't wanna show her face. I don't wanna even like dive into this more. I just wanna talk about the fact that this is truly insane. Like, this is how far our society has fallen, where this is somebody that people uplift. Like, this woman, she goes to frats. She goes to parties with young guys around the country and in the UK, and they clamor all over her. She's become this, like, star in a way. Like, that's disgusting. The fact that this is somebody that we idolize, even in a negative sense, is insane. Because this is a broken individual. What she is doing is only adding toxicity to our culture. She is taking advantage of men. She is allowing men to take advantage of her. The entire situation is completely dangerous. I mean, physically and emotionally and morally, like the entire thing is just awful. And then on top of that, to plan this stunt on Father's Day, like, you just can't make it up. Like, that's just too comically and depressingly perfect. Like, great. On a day when we should be celebrating the fathers that set their daughters on the right path, that raise up good human beings, we are doing the most sexually deviant thing you can ever imagine. I mean, it's just horrible. Now, the good thing is, because I do think we always need to find the positive twist in every story, this event has been canceled. And I think it's because somebody in her life, I don't know whether it was family, advisors, law enforcement, whatever, told her that she was going way too far. Like, even for her own sake, this was incredibly dumb, incredibly dangerous. And you know you've gone too far when even OnlyFans feels the need to deplatform you, which is what happened this week. In a statement, they said that Bonnie has taken things way too far. She was making tens of thousands a month via OnlyFans, and now that's gone. Her page has officially been pulled. Her latest stunts have taken things too far. She's crossed a line, and OnlyFans had no choice but to act. I mean, good for them, at least, because she was taking this offline. She was using what she built on OnlyFans to literally create destruction in the world. Making jokes about sleeping with barely legal young guys, bringing other girls in to sleep with these barely legal young guys, to basically take their virginity and start them on this porn star path, all of that. It was too far. And again, if OnlyFans is calling you out, then you know that is real. Now, moving on from that, Bonnie is not the only woman in the world who is crossing lines in today's episode, because the lesbians are not having it with the bisexual celebrities. It is Pride Month, as you guys know, and guys, there's some infighting. People are very angry. It's very toxic in the LGBTQ community right now. And guys, if last summer was dubbed Hot Girl Summer and the year before was White Boy Summer or whatever it was, thanks to Chet Hanks and his song, I am calling this summer Straight Girl Summer, because all of the bisexual celebrities are settling down with men. Yes, you heard that right. So obviously, this comes on the tails of us talking about JoJo Siwa, who left her girlfriend and decided that actually she is not lesbian, but she's queer, and now she's dating a guy, Chris, who she met on Big Brother. And of course, Demi Lovato, who we talked about last week, who just got married to a man after years of being a she, they, and singing to aliens, whatever she was doing. But the story did not stop with them. In fact, it was only beginning, because just last week, photos of Billie Eilish kissing Nat Wolff, who is a man, broke the internet. Here they are. This was from a pop culture account on X, and they said Billie Eilish and Nat Wolff were seen while sharing a kiss. And guys, that post has 58.6 million views. And guys, those were not happy views. Those were very, very angry and confused views. And you might be wondering why this is even relevant and why anybody cares, because celebrities date different people right and left. Who cares? Well, considering the fact that last summer Billie Eilish released a song about eating a girl for lunch, I would say that her fans were a bit flabbergasted. Specifically, one sect of her fans were incredibly betrayed. Now, at the same time that all of that was coming out about Billie Eilish and those photos dropped, another singer, Fletcher, announced that she has fallen in love with a boy. Dun-dun-dun! The horror! Can you believe that all of this is happening in Pride Month? The audacity! So guys, what I want to ask you is, what do all of these individuals have in common, from JoJo Siwa to Fletcher? Well, other than the fact that they are now all dating men, it is the fact that they all identify as queer or bisexual, not lesbian. They never said that they were fully lesbian. They just all identified as queer. They just were attracted to whatever. They wanted to be able to fall in love with whoever and just like be in the LGBTQ community. Like, that's basically my impression of Billie Eilish when she came out a couple of years ago. And this is very important information because it seems like the most intolerant group in the LGBTQ community are the bisexual and the lesbian women, who have completely lost their minds on these women for having the audacity to date men. I mean, they are pissed. Remember, guys, that photo with Billie Eilish, almost 60 million views. The comments have been lit up for days at this point. One person said, I guess being bisexual is pretty cool until it's time to actually date the same gender. This just made me so mad. And then this last one is so important. This person said, she plays the bisexual card only when it boosts her career. And guys, that comment really hits the nail on the head, because guys, here's the thing. The LGBTQ community has made it so easy to make money off of them and profit off of them. Like, they don't really care about talent or taste or quality. They care that the product, whatever it is, whether it is a consumer product or a piece of art or a singer or whatever it is, was made by people in their group, and they care about rejecting anything that is outside of their community. So of course, knowing that and being in the socio-political climate that we are and wanting to be in the in crowd, which has been the LGBTQ community, of course, it's a no-brainer for celebrities like these women to market to you guys based on their sexuality and queerbait, as you call it, because you guys literally encourage it. These artists, they know that you will rally behind them purely based on who they are sleeping with. And guys, that is so incredibly toxic and ridiculous. Like, going back to one of these singers, Fletcher, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to her music, but this all came out because she is releasing a new album, and she released her first single from the album, and I believe that the album is called Would You Still Love Me If You Knew Who I Really Was, or something like that. And she just released an entire song, it's her first single from this album, about how scared she was to tell her fan base that she wasn't dating a woman, that in fact, she had fallen in love with a man. And this is a woman who said that she was bisexual. So by definition, she should be able to date and fall in love with whoever she wants and not face any repercussions, but she knows, because of how toxic this community is, that is not good enough. Her just having the label isn't good enough. I mean, listen to these lyrics. She starts off one of the verses by saying, I've been sitting on a secret, I don't think I can keep it anymore. She goes into the pre-chorus and she says, I closed my eyes and I leaned in and I kissed a boy. Oh my God, the gall, I can't believe she did that. And then the chorus is, and I know it's not what you wanted to hear, and it wasn't on your bingo card this year. Well, it wasn't on mine. I fell in love, and it wasn't who I thought it would be, and I'm scared to think of what you'll all think of me. She is scared of what her fans will think of her because she, a quote-unquote bisexual woman, is dating somebody who is not a woman because she's not a lesbian. And she's afraid that the LGBTQ community who makes up her fan base is going to turn on her because she has the gall to date a white, straight man. I mean, guys, it is laughable. This is like the definition of that meme where it's like your friend that's too woke. That's basically what she's having to say to her fan base right now. Like, I'm literally scared of you because of how insane this was. And I hope you guys see just how hypocritical this is, because I thought this was the community. I think all of us thought that this was the community that was based on inclusion and tolerance. Yet the relentless attacks that all of these women have faced on social media over the last couple of weeks beg to differ. Because they only tolerate you, they only include you when you live a life by their definition. It doesn't matter if you're queer and you want to love anyone, you can only love who they deem permissible. And a straight white man simply isn't that. Getting married, falling in love with him is simply not okay. And so what I would say with these people is maybe we should spend a little less time worrying about who everybody else is sleeping with and spend more time praying and talking to Jesus, which you can do with Hallow. Now guys, right now, Father Mike Schmidt, who is one of my favorite human beings in the world, and Sister Miriam are teaming up for a consecration to Jesus through St. Joseph on the Hallow app. And I know that that might sound a bit intimidating, but just stick with me here because this is about diving deeper into your faith by following one of the most underrated role models in the Bible. St. Joseph was not flashy, he wasn't loud, but he was strong, courageous, humble, and holy. And God literally chose him to raise Jesus, and this is who you're going to be learning about. Each week has reflections on Joseph's life straight from scripture, beautiful prayers like the Litany of St. Joseph, amazing stories from church history, actual miracles, and moments of intercession that show just how involved he still is in the world today. And here's the thing, this is so much bigger than just St. Joseph himself. It is an amazing way to reconnect with your faith and recenter your life. And Hallow makes it so easy, especially in life's busiest seasons. You can literally just press play on their app and boom, peace, perspective, new education, actual grace in the middle of your day. I think it's something that we could all use, especially the people we're talking about in this story. So don't miss this. Join the consecration and get 3 months free of Hallow when you go to hallow.com/Cooper. Again, that's hallow.com/Cooper to get started. And obviously that will give you spiritual health, but if you want to up your physical health, you need to try Mudwater. Now guys, I am so pumped to talk about Mudwater. They are my newest partner. This is actually a brand that Alex and I have been using for years. We love them. Now, as you guys know, since getting pregnant, I have been dealing with the worst brain fog. I feel my brain literally shrinking as I'm doing these episodes, but Mudwater's OG mix has helped me feel focused without the crash throughout this entire pregnancy. It contains cacao and chai for a hint of caffeine, lion's mane for focus, and cordyceps to promote natural energy. And when I'm not drinking that one, I'm probably drinking their matcha, which is the only matcha powder that we keep in our house. Mudwater products are 100% organic, and each ingredient in their mixes serves a purpose. So if you are ready to make the switch to cleaner energy, head on over to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, you will get an exclusive deal up to 43% off your first order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code BRETT. Again, that is up to 43% off with code BRETT at mudwater.com. Now, after your purchase, they will ask you how you found them, so make sure to let them know that we sent you. Keep your energy natural and refreshing all year long with Mudwater because life is too short for anything less than clean, delicious energy. Now, guys, to wrap up this segment, we have one last person who is weighing in on this situation, and ironically, it is Miley Cyrus, who also identifies as queer and also is dating a man right now. And this is what she said at a recent performance. She's talking about JoJo Siwa here. Take a listen.
Enjoy coming out of the closet. If this Pride is the time for you, it's Miley. I just want to tell you, have an amazing World Pride. Is it a month? It should be a year. It should be infinite. All right, I'm going back to
Infinite Pride.
Find JoJo Siwa, bring her back out.
So she ended that by saying, go find JoJo Siwa and bring her back out, which again is hilarious coming from Miley, who also identifies as queer and is also dating a man. So by your definition, do you need to come back out of the closet because you're not dating a woman anymore? I mean, guys, it like literally makes no sense. But again, guys, think about the marketing. Think about the quote-unquote queer baiting. It is not a coincidence that Miley said all of this and is doing all of this at the same time that she is dropping an album that she says will be her gayest album yet. That is a real quote from Miley from last month, gayest album yet. Even though she is dating a man, I think she's trying to preserve her in with that community. And this is all even more ironic considering something that she said 6 years ago. Poor Miley was ahead of the trends, then she fell back. She needs to get back to where she was because listen to what she said. She said, guys, I was being a little too like hardcore feminist vibes and just like, I don't know, not allowing anyone in, but now I am. There are good men out there. Don't give up. You don't have to be gay. There are good people with dicks out there. You just gotta find them. You gotta find a dick that's not a dick. You know what I mean? And then she says, I always thought that I had to be gay because I just thought like all the guys were evil, but it's not true. There are good people out there that just happen to have dicks. Now, I'm sorry for that being so explicit, but I had to read it because she is saying the quiet part out loud. She's saying, I felt like I had to be gay because I was taught that all men are evil, but actually they're not. And that's probably what's happening with the JoJo Siwas and the Fletchers and the Demi Lovatos and the Billie Eilishes. They're realizing like, oh my God, I actually don't need to be gay. There's a guy and it's totally fine for me to love him, but this community is going to turn on me if I do. I mean, it's just such a mess. Like, guys, there might only be one thing that is more toxic than the LGBTQ community, and that, of course, would be Blake Lively. And do we have the update of the century for you? So in a shocking turn of events on Monday, and I know this is coming late, but we just have to talk about it because I would be remiss not to, but on Monday, we learned that the judge involved in the Baldoni-Lively case dismissed Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. So the first was a $400 million defamation suit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for trying to smear him and ruin his career, and the second was a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times for conspiring with Blake Lively in December 2024 to basically help her do that, to help her smear him. Now, to be clear, before everyone freaks out like I did when I first read this headline on Monday, this does not mean that Blake Lively won. This has nothing to do with her lawsuit or her allegations. It does not mean that Justin Baldoni is guilty of anything yet. This is purely about his suits, about the defamation lawsuits, and whether Blake Lively and the New York Times can actually be sued. I mean, it is so crazy. And this is because Blake and her team were so strategic with how she filed her complaints before leaking things to the New York Times, so she is protected. Now, the New York Times, ironically enough, covered this, and they said Mr. Baldoni's legal team had not shown that Miss Lively had defamed him, the judge added, because the suit failed to claim that Miss Lively had made any alleged defamatory comments outside of her Civil Rights Department complaint, which are covered by privilege. The judge also ruled that many of the Times statements were also privileged, which means protected, because they had been taken from Miss Lively's legal filing, which are protected. So it's like multiple layers of protection here. He went on to say Mr. Baldoni had not shown that the Times acted with actual malice, the legal standard a public figure like Baldoni must meet to prove libel in publishing the article. Now, I know that there is a lot of legal speak in that blurb, so just to blow this out and give you guys some more context, to defame someone, like Justin Baldoni is alleging that Blake Lively is doing, you must intentionally lie and try to stain someone's image. You must believe that the statements you are making are false. But right now, we still have an open case of Blake Lively against Justin Baldoni that has not been ruled on. It is still open. And because Blake Lively filed her lawsuit and her complaint before going, allegedly, to the New York Times, she is protected. And so essentially, all of that gives her legal cover, and it prevents Baldoni from efficiently fighting back and trying to clear his name. And so basically, the courts have to determine whether she is lying or telling the truth before they can even look at any of these alleged defamation claims coming from Justin Baldoni. And then on top of that, the New York Times has what is called privileges of the press that allows them to keep their sources private, even in court, that sort of thing. So in this circumstance, they also can't be sued. Everybody is protected. This was all so strategic from Blake Lively's team. She got off on a technicality. So again, this is not because Baldoni is lying or because Blake is right. It is because of the groundwork that her legal team laid. And it seems like this was probably always a risk that Justin was taking as he filed in return, but the press that he got from fighting back, from slapping both of them with these insane multi-$100 million suits, I think was worth it. Like, he and his lawyers probably knew that they would get slapped down by this technicality, that they would have to refile or have it be dismissed, file later, whatever it is. But it was so important for him to immediately, in the days prior, to say, I am trying to clear my name, this is not right. That, even though these cases might not go through, was so important. And in thinking about all of this, your brains might go to another huge case, which obviously is the Amber Heard-Johnny Depp trial. And you might be thinking, okay, based on all of this stuff with Blake Lively and how she's getting off, like, how in the world did Amber Heard lose her case against Johnny Depp where he sued her for defamation in the press? Well, I think that Blake Lively probably learned from Amber Heard's mistake because Amber Heard did not file any civil rights complaints. She accused him of things, but nothing was filed. She was not protected by the law. And so in Johnny Depp's case, it was fair game. They went straight to defamation. They didn't have to deal with any other lawsuits or complaints like Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are doing now. So basically, TLDR, all of this, what is happening with Blake Lively, it is legal. I don't think that this is any, like, judge corruption or anything like that. Like, these are layers and layers of strategies and technicalities on both sides. However, what I think is important to say is that it doesn't make what Blake did or is doing right. Like, her team was smart. I will give them that. They laid the groundwork. They had a great strategy. I mean, they had a sham lawsuit from months before any of this came out in December that allowed them to access the text messages from his team. She filed the complaints privately. The New York Times somehow got the information after the fact and only used the information that was in the complaint. They are all protected. All of that was intentional, and yes, all of that is legal. But there is still a real man at the heart of the story, a real family that has been impacted with families and reputations that are at stake, and he deserved the right to fight back, and I'm glad that he did. Even though his team probably knew that a defamation was futile from the start, I still will stand by the fact that I think it was so important that he filed both of those in return. So don't worry, this is far from over. He probably knew this was coming. He can definitely still come back from this. But Gavin Newsom? I'm not so sure. I think his legacy is probably as torched as the city of Los Angeles. And with the LGBTQ community, I don't know if there's any coming back from the audacity of dating a straight white man. So we'll see. And I'll see you guys next week.